Yeah, basically, all of these, like I was discussing with you before we came on air, because of our knack for waiting for, the 9th hour, the 11th hour to do things. And every year, we had, the end of one election cycle begins, another election cycle. And so we knew all of the lapses with the Electoral Act, especially the card readers, the card reader failure, and then coupled with the Supreme Court judgments in Wiki and INEC and all of that happened, and vis-a-vis, the card reader vis-a-vis the electoral register. So one would have expected that the National Assembly timeously would sit to work on the Electoral Act amendment, but we always wait for the 11th hour. Like I said, in 2003 election, we had Electoral Act amendment for 2002. Okay. Then 2007 election, it was amended in 2006. Then in 2011 election, it was amended in 2010. But in 2015, because of delay, didn't see the light of the day. So rather than wake up early also, we waited, we played politics with it. The first time the bill was sent to the president for assent, the cry about the reordering of the election, that's section 25, okay. The president said he wasn't going to assent to it, and that it also interferes with the power of INEC as regards the constitutional power of INEC to conduct and determine when to conduct elections. But although I have my reservations about that, that's a matter for another day, because I also believe the presidential election should come first. Come last. Come last, rather. Not first. Okay. But for this one, then the second one, they were, according to him, that there were errors in the document, and so he's not empowered to amend any error. And so, say errors, grammatical error. What kind of errors? Yeah, grammatical errors, and so since he wasn't empowered to even correct any error in the document sent by the National Assembly, it was returned. I had expected at that time a meeting of all stakeholders to timeously look at those errors so that it would be assented to. But that didn't happen. They went back, and now the issue raised by the president is very germane and cannot be overlooked. He's talking about the new amendment to Section 87. That's the new addition to Section 87. That's Section 87, subsection 14. And that the Section 87, subsection 14 basically gives the INEC basically created a timeline within which the political parties must submit the names for candidates, not earlier than 120 days before the election, okay, and not later than 90 days before the election. And so, if you juxtapose that with Section 31, Section 35, and Section 85, subsection 1, you're going to have problem with, because Section 31 talks about the candidates submitting names of political the political parties submitting names of their candidates, okay, 30 days at least before the election. And then Section 35 talks about giving INEC at least 20 days notice before primaries. And then Section 85, subsection 1 says when elections should be conducted. When INEC should display the names of nominated candidates for, okay, claims and objection. And so if you're limiting the submission of these names to 90 days before election, that means INEC would have just, as we speak now, about 7 days to conduct these primaries. And so for parties also that have not given notice of primaries, it will be a difficult thing. And then somebody someday might just wake up and go to court and say, well, since this political party did not comply with Section 31, subsection 1 of the Electoral Act as amended in 2010, and that every candidate elected on the platform of that party should be disqualified. What about INEC? Has INEC come out to say, okay, we actually cannot work within this time frame given to us? Especially since we have to, put out, like you said, the lists of 91 political parties. Exactly. INEC had not officially, I am not aware that the Independent National Electoral Commission had complained officially. But let's look at the issues, even if they don't complain. I also think, even though their constitutional responsibility is just to observe the elections, but also, I also think that it would be also a practical impossibility to observe elections within, to conduct primaries within that time frame, 9 days. And then also, you have 91 political parties, And sometimes some of us wonder how the ballot paper is going to look at. And we had also suggested to INEC that if you have 91 political parties and you have 20 presidential candidates, for example, there's no need having all 91 political parties on the ballot. You can just have the 20 political parties that are actually contesting for that office on the ballot. That will make things easy also, instead of having all the 91 political parties, because that also will create a quagmire, you know, with the electoral ballot paper. And so all of these, I think where the fault is really is, like I said earlier, we had the opportunity to write
when we missed that window. So
we missed that window.
Now both houses have been informed. How do you think that there's a sense of urgency? Do the houses, the Senate, understand that there's a sense of urgency in terms of responding, and perhaps, you know, also, are you anticipating that they may object to what this one reason that President Buhari has pointed out?
No, I doubt. But what I think should be done, it's not just enough to communicate these observations. There should be, which I think the president also had hinted about, there should be a stakeholders meeting of both parties, both the executive and National Assembly, to actually harmonize all these gray areas. So once they come back from their recess, what they just need to do is to agree on those harmonized areas and then rubber stamp what had been done. Since the bill actually had passed all through, you know, the stages, debate, first reading, committee stage and the rest. So I really don't see any need for, you know, time wasting. And then secondly, some people also have the view that maybe the executive would want to use this to force the hand of the National Assembly to resume, you know, from recess. And I said,
would they need to come back from recess to address this?
Yes, they need to. And I said, look, if the National Assembly could still, you know, refuse to resume in spite of the noise about the environment, the budget environment, then I really don't see this.
So do you see them resuming, coming back, you know, from their holiday or break to attend to this?
We're talking about primaries now for the political parties, and what's paramount in their mind now would be their party primaries, and not even the Electoral Act, because understanding the way a National Assembly operates, I don't think.
So would there be implications if they don't?
If
this is left till they come back?
Worst case, if in 2015, this was what happened also. In 2014, this was what happened. And so, worst case, if at the end of the day, the amendment does not see the light of the day, we'll fall back to the existing one, the 2010 amendment. And then the implications would be that the election will be conducted in the same way we had the 2015 election, where you had, you know, what do you call it, electronic accreditation in some places and manual accreditation in other places. Because what the Supreme Court said in Wike and INEC was the fact that if you're discussing over voting, you need to reckon with the register, not the accreditation, because the argument in that case was the fact that in some areas you have number of accredited voters, you know, below number of actual voters. That number of, if you have 100 in actual voters, number of registered voters, 100, and then you have accredited voters, 90 or 80, as the case may be, that ordinarily the number of actual voters shouldn't be more than the number of those accredited. But the Supreme Court said, look, in looking at the number of overvoting, you don't need to look at the accredited voters electronically, those accredited electronically only. You also need to look at the number on the register.